Hello students, so today in this video we are going to learn or continue the chapter 2 of class 9. In the previous video we have discussed the first part of the chapter 2 of class 9. So we discussed whether the matter around us is pure or whether it is a mixture, and we have also discussed the different types of the mixture. We have seen homogeneous mixture, we have seen heterogeneous mixture. Depending upon the heterogeneous or homogeneous, we have discussed about the solution, its different parts, its characteristics, its examples. We have discussed the properties. So we are going to today we are going to discuss about the concentration of the solution, and two topics we are also going to see, that is suspension and colloidal solution. So let's begin the class. You might all have heard about the concentration, the term concentration. When we say a solution is very concentrated or it is very dilute. So this concentration is mainly dependent upon the amount of the solute which is present in a particular solution. So this means what? This means that in a particular solution, the concentration might vary. Some may be very concentrated and some might be dilute, or some might be less concentrated in this way. So whether a solution is concentrated or dilute, it mainly depends upon the amount of the solute which is present in the solution. Hence, in a solution, the relative amount of the solute and solvent can be varied. That means the relative amount of the solute and the solvent can be different in different solutions. So depending upon this amount of solute which is present in a solution, we can say whether it is a concentrated or dilute. So this dilute and this the term concentrated, these are some comparative terms which compares the amount of the solute which is present in a solution. So we have understood what is concentration of a solution. Now this concentration of a solution, it can be expressed in a mathematical formula as well. So mathematically, concentration of a solution can be expressed as the amount of solute divided by amount of solution, or the amount of solute divided by amount of solvent. There are also other ways of expressing the concentration of solution, but here we will learn only two methods which are the which will be used to calculate the concentration of a solution in this chapter. So the first method which will be used to calculate the percentage of a solution, that means the concentration of a solution, is the mass by mass percentage of a solution. So we are going to calculate the mass of the solute divided by mass of solution into 100, which will give us the concentration of a solution. So this is the first procedure, or this is the first method by which we are going to determine the concentration of a solution. This one is mass by mass percentage of a solution. That means mass of solute divided by mass of solution. Now this ratio, if we multiply with 100, then it will give us the concentration in terms of percentage. For example, if we look at the example which is given in the book in page number 17 of this chapter, here according to example, let us try to find out the concentration of a solution. What is this in this question? It's asking is that it says a solution contains 40 gram of common salt in 320 gram of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. So you have seen that in the question itself, it has expressed what we will have to determine. Okay, so the concentration which we have to find out here in this question, it is asking in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. So what are the informations which is given? We will first take it out. So in the question it is given that the mass of solute, it is 40 gram. As it says, a solution contains 40 gram of common salt in 320 gram of water. So this 40 gram of common salt, so this salt, which is the amount which is given, that will be the amount of the solute. Okay, so this is the example in which we have discussed before, the solution which is the salt in water solution. Okay, so the salt is the obviously the solute and water is the solvent over here. So the amount which is given for mass, it is mass of the solute which is given over here is 40 gram, and that of water, so how much it is given in 320 gram of water, 40 gram of salt is taken. So mass of the solvent is how much? It is 320 gram. Okay, now we have been given the mass of the solute and also the mass of the solvent. So according to the formula, what is it? How do we have to find it out? We will have to find it by dividing mass of solute by mass of solution. But here only solute and the solvents amounts are given. So what is solution? We know what is solution. Solution, it has two parts, that is solute and solvent. Now if we are going to add solute plus solvent, we are going to get the amount of the solution. So definitely, so what will be the mass of solution? It will be the mass of solute plus mass of solvent. So we are going to add the amounts. So it is 40 plus 320, it will be 360 grams. So the mass of the solution will be 360 gram. Now let's put the values in the formula. The formula is mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. So mass of solute, we know how much it is, 40 grams. So we are going to put over here 40. Then we are going to divide 40 by the mass of solution, which is 360. Now according to the formula, we will have to find it out in terms of percentage. So we are multiplying this ratio with 100. So it will give you a percentage of 11.1%. So what is the concentration of the solution? It is 11.1 percentage. So 11.1% is the concentration of the solution. It is the answer which has been asked in the question. Another method which can be used to calculate the concentration of the solution is by mass by volume percentage of a solution. So in the first formula we have seen mass by mass, that means mass of solute by mass of solution. Now since it is mass by volume, so in the upper part the numerator is always the solute. So solute we will have to, here also we are going to take the mass of the solute, but by volume, so it is saying, so we are going to divide that mass of solute by the volume of solution. So as also it definitely it will be in the question, it will, the informations will be given. Depending upon how the information is given, you will have to use any of those two methods. So the ratio, this ratio again we are going to multiply with 100 so that we get the percentage. So this is the another method by which we can also determine the concentration of a solution. As I told you before, these two are also the methods which can be used to calculate the concentration of a solution. Mathematically what it says that the concentration of the solution is the amount of solute divided by amount of solution, or amount of solute divided by the amount of solvent. So next topic which we are going to discuss is about the solubility, and it falls under concentration itself. So before we understand what is solubility, that we will have to understand what is saturation and unsaturated solution. So two things we need to understand before understanding solubility, that is saturated solution and unsaturated solution. Suppose let's consider this pot to understand whether this pot is saturated or unsaturated. Okay, so you can see here it is filled with soil. Okay, so this pot is filled with soil. So this is the maximum capacity of this pot. So this pot has reached its limit. So this limit will be called as the saturated limit, or only as saturated. So it means that even after it has reached its limit, if you are going to put more soil, will it be able to take it within itself? So it can't. So the excess soil, even after you are adding, after the pot has reached its limit, what will happen to that excess soil? That excess soil will come out and fall over here in this flow. So the pot has reached its saturated level. So chemically what it means that at any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be a saturated solution. So the pot, it has reached its limit. It has that much amount of the soil which it is capable of holding in the pot itself. So the pot has reached the saturated level. Just like that, the solution also has some level of dissolving a certain amount of solute. If the solution has reached that limit till which it can dissolve the amount of solute which it is capable of dissolving, then it is a saturated solution. So in simpler words, what we can say that when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, then it is called as a saturated solution. So now you have understood what is saturated solution. Okay. So now we can understand what is solubility. So solubility can be defined as the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at a particular temperature. So at a particular temperature, the solution has taken the amount of solute which can be dissolved in a solution. So that amount of solute which is present in the saturated solution, that very amount of solute will be called as the solubility of that solution. Okay. So suppose the solution this has been formed in a temperature of 23 degrees centigrade. Suppose now solution, you have added a little amount of solute over there. Again you are dissolving and it has reached its saturation level. So at this 23 degrees centigrade, where the solution has reached its saturated level, that means it has reached the amount of solute which can be dissolved in that very particular solution, then it is called its solubility. So at the 23 degrees centigrade temperature, the solution has reached its solubility or the saturation level. So that will be the solubility of the solution. So what could be the unsaturated solution? So unsaturated solution is nothing but it is the amount of solute contained in a solution. So this amount of solute will be what? Will be less than the amount of the solute which is present in the saturated solution. So if the amount of solute which is present in the solution is less than the saturation level, then it is an unsaturated solution. So in an unsaturated solution, that means what? That means if we are going to say this pot again, if this pot is half filled till here, if it has not reached its limit and there is some space again so that the pot can hold more soil, then it will be an unsaturated level since it has not reached its limit. Okay. So as simple as that, that is an unsaturated solution. So let's continue the class again. Let's discuss what is suspension now. So suspension is again another type of mixture which falls in the heterogeneous mixture category. So that means if we are going to say, if you remember what is heterogeneous mixture, then in heterogeneous mixture what happens? In this mixture, the particles, that means the solutes, the particles are not distributed in a uniform way. That means the particles have a distribution of non-uniform pattern. So in heterogeneous mixture, two categories fall, which is suspension and colloidal solution. We are going to discuss what is suspension right now. So if you're going to see what is suspension, then Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solid particles do not dissolve. Okay, so here the solute particles do not dissolve, but they remain in a way. Okay, so but what they do, but they remain suspended. So how do they remain? They remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Okay, so that is the characteristic of the suspension, or that is what we know as a suspended solution. So if we're going to say what is suspension, and if I draw the picture over here, then suppose this is a beaker. Suppose you have taken some amount of water over here. Okay, suppose this is the water. This is what? This is the water, is the medium over here. Now you have added the soil particles. Now after adding, they will come over here. So first, when you have added, okay, you have stirred the mixture. Suppose you have stirred this mixture. Now you will see that it is not clear. We have played with this mud in water, right? We have played with the soil in water, sand in water. So how do we see? We see an unclear, dirty solution, right? So what happens then is that they are not uniformly present. If it were present in the uniform way, what would have happened? It would have appeared just like the solution. But since it is what? It is heterogeneous, the particles will remain here and there throughout the solution. So how do they remain? How do they stay? Say they do what? They remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. So okay, now again we have done that while playing in our childhood days. Okay, so now you keep this solution again. Undisturbed for a moment. So how will this solution appear? You can see that this soil particles, this will settle down at the bottom, right? So this will settle down at the bottom. It will appear as if there are two different layers. The particles will be visible over here. It will be darker, and the water level will be almost transparent, clear. After you keep the solution undisturbed, you keep this mixture undisturbed, the suspended mixture undisturbed for a while, you are going to see this kind of a pattern. So these are the two pictures, okay, of suspension. So in the figure A, this is the suspension of calcium carbonate in water, and figure 2 is when after this calcium carbonate has settled down at the bottom of the beaker. Okay, so you have left this beaker undisturbed for a while, and then you can see that it is the part, that means the solute has remained suspended at the bottom of the beaker. Now let's talk about the properties of the suspension. So suspension is a heterogeneous mixture, we know it. Again, the suspended particles, the particles of a suspension can be seen by the naked eye. Obviously we can see the particles of the suspension. Yes, the solution in this suspended solution, what happens? The soil settles down at the bottom. We know this because we can see it through our naked eyes. Since we can see it through our naked eyes, that means what? The size of the particles are bigger enough, so they have a bigger size. Okay, so the third property is that particle of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and makes its path visible. Definitely, the particles of the suspension, they have a good size enough, which is good enough for what? They have a big, the size is good enough for them to scatter the path of the light. That means, sorry, to scatter the beam of the light. So since they can scatter the beam of the light, definitely the path of the light will be visible. So what does the particles of a suspension do? They makes the path of the light visible. Okay, so they makes it visible. So the third point is that the particle of a suspension scatter beam of light. Okay, and it makes that very path visible. The fourth point is the solid particles settle down when suspension is left undisturbed. Yes, we have seen the example, which we have seen also the figure. When you keep the solid particles, when you keep the suspension left for some time, keep it undisturbed for a while, you will see the solid particles settling down at the bottom. So if these solid particles are settling down at the bottom, what we can do? We can separate them out. We can separate the layer of these two, the layer of the water and the solid particles, just by the process of physical method. That is, by the process of filtration, we can separate them out. Yes, and now since these two particles are settling down at the bottom, that means the solid particles are settling down at the bottom. So this is what this solution, that means the suspension, suspended solution, that is what? That is a little, that is an unstable. So next colloid is left. The colloid that we are going to do in the next class. In the next video, we are going to see what is colloid and also the other left out part. Okay, that's all for today. See ya.